Georgette Bauerdorf, the younger of two daughters born to oilman George Frederick Bauerdorf and his wife, Constance Stanhauser, entered this world in New York City. Alongside her older sister Constance, known as Connie, Georgette began her education at St. Agatha's School for Girls in New York City. However, following the loss of her mother, the family relocated to Los Angeles in 1935, where Georgette then attended the Marlborough School and Westlake School for Girls. Georgette harbored dreams of becoming an actress, leading her to move to West Hollywood in August 1944. She settled in the El Palacio Apartments at 8493 Fountain Avenue and secured a position as a junior hostess at the Hollywood Canteen, where she delighted in dancing with enlisted men. On the day preceding her untimely demise, Georgette cashed a check for $175 and purchased an airline ticket worth $90, destined for El Paso, Texas. She confided in her friends that she intended to rendezvous with her boyfriend, a soldier. Private Jerome M. Brown, an anti-aircraft artillery trainee stationed at Camp Callan, was subsequently identified by Fort Bliss authorities as the man Georgette had planned to meet. Brown informed Army officials that they had initially encountered each other at the Hollywood Canteen on the night of June 13. Several days after their encounter, he departed for El Paso, yet the couple maintained their connection through correspondence via letters. During the fateful night of October 11, 1944, Georgette finished her shift at the Hollywood Canteen around 11:15 p.m. Seeking further enjoyment, she ventured to a local club called the Palladium, where she danced until approximately 2 a.m. As she made her way home, Georgette encountered an Army sergeant named Gordon Odland hitchhiking, who had also attended the Palladium. In their conversation, Georgette mentioned her haste to return home and await a telephone call from her boyfriend in Texas. This encounter may have been one of the last sightings of Georgette alive. The following day, on October 12th, custodial staff arrived at Georgette's apartment only to discover her lifeless body submerged face down in an overflowing bathtub. It is suspected that an assailant had been lying in wait inside her apartment. Inspector William Penprace of the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department revealed that an outside entrance night light had been tampered with to intentionally plunge the area into darkness. The assumption was that the perpetrator had used a chair to reach the light bulb, situated nearly 8 feet from the ground. Fingerprints were found on the bulb, further supporting the theory of an intruder. Additional evidence pointing towards an intruder was found in Georgette's kitchen, a discarded string bean can and melon rinds in the wastebasket, suggesting she had enjoyed a snack before retiring to her bedroom. An examination of her stomach revealed traces of recently consumed string beans, estimated to have been eaten approximately an hour prior to her death. Curiously, her jewelry and valuables were left untouched, except for the theft of nearly $100 from her purse. Notably, a substantial roll of $2 bills and valuable sterling silver remained unharmed in an open trunk. Georgette's sister's 1936 Oldsmobile Coupe, registered in her name, was missing from the crime scene. Eventually, the vehicle was located with a noticeable dent on one of its fenders. Mechanics confirmed that the damage was recent and possibly caused by a collision with another car. The abandoned Oldsmobile was discovered on East 25th Street, just off San Pedro Street, seemingly having run out of gas. The signs of a violent struggle were apparent, indicating that Georgette fought fiercely against her attacker. Dr. Frank R. Webb, the autopsy surgeon for Los Angeles County, conducted an examination that revealed extensive bruises and abrasions on her body. Disturbingly, evidence of sexual assault was also discovered. Georgette's right hand exhibited bruised and battered knuckles, while a significant bruise was observed on the right side of her head, along with another on her abdomen, possibly caused by forceful blows. Furthermore, she had been strangled with a piece of bandage material forcefully inserted into her throat. Notably, her right thigh bore the imprinted bruises of a hand, including fingernail marks that had pierced the skin. Investigators speculated that the perpetrator of the crime may have gained access to Georgette's apartment using a passkey and concealed themselves downstairs until she retired for the night. Another theory proposed that the assailant rang the doorbell after she had retired. Inspector Penprace expressed skepticism regarding the possibility of Georgette being accompanied home by a serviceman. It was hypothesized that she may have encountered someone at the canteen who drove her home and left her at the door, only to return later and commit the heinous act after she had prepared for bed. Despite the soundproofing measures taken in the walls and doors of Georgette's apartment building, a neighbor, desiring anonymity, informed Captain Gordon Bowers of the sheriff's department that he was awakened by screams around 2:30 a.m. Initially, a piercing scream startled him from his slumber, followed by a female voice pleading, "Stop, stop, you're killing me." The intensity of the screaming gradually diminished. Assuming it was a domestic dispute, he returned to bed. In Georgette's bedroom, investigators discovered a date book containing the names of servicemen. Army authorities collaborated with the sheriff's department in a quest for leads. A sailor in Long Beach underwent questioning but was eventually cleared of suspicion. Authorities hoped that individuals who witnessed Georgette departing the canteen in the company of an escort would come forward. Extensive scrutiny was given to numerous letters received by the victim. One particular soldier, described as swarthy, was believed to have held a strong infatuation for Georgette. On the night of her murder, he frequently interrupted her dances. Investigators scoured USO centers and other canteens in an attempt to locate and question him. Several days after the discovery of Georgette's body, a soldier named Corporal Cosmo Volpe surrendered himself to the police after reading news reports about the search for a husky, dark-haired GI. Although he was questioned by the police, he was eventually eliminated as a suspect when he provided evidence that he had checked into his barracks at the Lockheed Air Terminal at 11 p.m. June Ziegler, Georgette's co-worker at the Hollywood canteen on the night preceding the murder, disclosed to the sheriff's department that Georgette had recently dated a serviceman who stood 6 feet 4 inches tall. This soldier was a friend of another serviceman frequently mentioned in Georgette's diary. Ziegler recalled Georgette mentioning that the tall soldier had shown a keen interest in her, but she did not reciprocate and ceased going out with him. Authorities sought to question this soldier. Gordon Odland, the sergeant whom Georgette had given a ride to a few hours prior to her demise, recounted in 2012 that he was traveling by train back to his base when he read about the murder in the newspaper. Odland subsequently penned a letter to the Los Angeles Police Department describing his encounter with Georgette. He was later interviewed by an officer from the Provost Marshal's office, who recorded his testimony but received no further updates. Rose Gilbert, a secretary employed by Georgette's father, revealed that Georgette occasionally invited men to her apartment for brief visits but never asked them to stay, as her Catholic upbringing instilled strict notions of propriety. During the coroner's inquest on October 20th, a jury consisting of 9 men determined that Georgette's death was a homicide and recommended a thorough investigation to apprehend her killer. Fred Atwood, the janitor of the apartment building, provided testimony stating that he had heard the sound of a woman's heels pacing back and forth on the floor. He was awakened by a loud crash at approximately midnight on October 11th, recognizing the noise as originating from Georgette's apartment. He asserted that she was alone. The next morning, at around 11:10 a.m., Atwood and his wife entered the apartment, discovering Georgette's partially unclothed body in the bathtub. 2 deputies confirmed Atwood's account that Georgette had been alone before her assailant seemingly lured her to the darkened entrance. Atwood further mentioned that he noticed the night light bulb had been unscrewed slightly, a phenomenon he had not encountered previously. Testimonies from officers indicated that there were no visible signs of a struggle within the apartment. However, the autopsy results revealed that Georgette had fiercely fought for her life. Sam Wolfe, the stepmother's brother, refuted claims that the victim had experienced fainting spells. Bauerdorf's body was shipped to New York via train after it was released by the coroner's office on October 15th. Her funeral was held in New York City. She was buried in a Long Island cemetery plot the Bauerdorf family had maintained for generations. William Randolph Hearst, a close friend of Georgette's father, pressured the LAPD at his behest to close the investigation as quickly as possible. Their reasons for this are unclear, but it was done supposedly to avoid embarrassment and to keep Georgette's romantic life private and her reputation intact, as she was sexually active and she documented all of her social and romantic relationships in her diary, which would have become evidence and thus become available to the public had the investigation and a trial followed.